Another fighter robbed in the Lone Star State. Find out what happened next. Please like and subscribe. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you think. Welcome. Welcome to an episode of Texas Boxing. Want to get into some of the action that happened last night in Dallas, Texas. There are certain things that I love. And that in order is God, my wife and kids. Then after that, it's Texas and boxing. So this is not a knock on my sport or my great home state. However, Texas has gotten a reputation for a place where no out-of-town fighter really wants to go to because of all the corruption, horrible decisions. It is really difficult to get a decision over a hometown fighter. Remember Paulie Malignaggi's epic rant about how no one gets a fair decision. No out-of-town fighter gets a fair decision when facing a Texan in Texas. And this was in lieu of his controversial loss to Juan Baby Bull Diaz, a Houston native who he fought in Houston. And that decision was absolutely atrocious. Paulie, by all measures, won the fight. I think everyone watching the fight had scored the fight for Paulie. And the scorecards were so atrociously bad. I think Gail Van Hoy had a 118-110 for Diaz, meaning Paulie won 2 rounds, when he clearly won at least 7, possibly 8 or 9. It was a competitive fight, but Paulie clearly won. And the rant was epic because there's an element of truth to it. We wrote an article on the website, 3dboxingblog.com, about how it's getting bad. And this was after Victor Ortiz and Devin Alexander had fought to a draw, and Devin Alexander won almost all the rounds. Victor Ortiz, a Mexican-American, obviously a big following for Mexican-Americans in Texas. This was in El Paso, where it's a huge Mexican-American population, and they support their fighters like anybody else. But this is becoming a horrible trend. It happened again last night in Dallas, Texas, on an otherwise great card, right? Shout out to Big Card Promotions. Ahmed Alage put on a great card. Lots of good fight, lots of good prospects. But in the co-main event, featured 2 undefeated prospects. 2 undefeated prospects that we've covered pretty extensively on the website. Ernesto Delgadillo and Nate the Great One Green. And this is not a knock on Ernesto Delgadillo. Really good fighter. We mentioned his name in one of the top prospects to watch, an article we did about the great fighters coming out of Dallas. Really good fighter. He's now 11-0-2. 2 draws early on. He's got big wins. He's a good fighter, come forward fighter, tough fighter. He fought Nate Green, who burst onto the scene on a nationally televised card on ESPN last summer. He pulled an upset over a Puerto Rican in Puerto Rico on a Miguel Cotto card. Wasn't supposed to win that fight, was used as an opponent, and got knocked down in the second round, got badly hurt in the first round, and from that point on, pretty much dominated the fight and really won over the crowd. Well, Nate went into enemy territory again. Nate's from Connecticut. Shout out to KO Dynasty. His manager, Marilyn Rosa, and his trainer, Louis Rosa, great people. I got a chance to interview them. But Nate went in, enemy territory, flew in halfway across the country, was ready, went in and executed really well. Landed the cleanest shots, landed the flusher shots, and outboxed Ernesto. And it was a competitive fight. There were some close rounds. Ernesto was the aggressor, came in, did some decent work, did some good work on the inside, landed some pitter-pat stuff, never really hurt Nate Green. Nate hurt him bad in the first round, had a ferocious body attack from the outside. He was clearly the better athlete. Ernesto was trying to get on the inside, Nate was staying on the outside. Nate's a southpaw. He was landing left hands and right hooks to the body all night long. Should have used his jab a little more. Didn't fight a perfect fight, but certainly did enough to win the fight. And we want you to keep this in mind because these are two super flyweights, 115 pounders. So not exactly glamour division in boxing. Although 115 and 118 are on fire right now, they don't really draw well, right? We don't typically get a lot of Americans, so it's just not a division that draws well here. So this was a big fight. It was two undefeated prospects for a WBC regional belt, and it was a good fight. It was a step up for both fighters, both undefeated fighters, and Nate clearly did more work, and the judges took it from him. It's not just that the judges took it from him. We want to get into that. Referee Lawrence Cole, who we wrote an article on, we put out a tweet that he's the worst ref in the sport. He was the ref that told Juan Manuel Marquez at the Reliant Energy Arena in Houston that he was up on points after a headbutt and that they could go to the scorecard and get the win. He was suspended for that. He came back. I don't know why you let someone who told Marquez if he doesn't want to fight, he's got the fight won and you can go to the scorecards. Why you would let someone know that is beyond me. But that's the type of things that we're looking at here with hometown favorites and fan favorites. So he was the ref in this fight. Nate got headbutted all night long. Now, the point deduction, not even a warning. Two butts came in and caused cuts. One caused a gash over his eye that took 5 stitches to heal over his left eye. I'm not saying it was a dirty thing, but there was nothing done about it. Also, late in the fight, Nate Green scored what appeared to be a knockdown, hit him with a clean left hand, and on his way down, Ernesto grabbed him. Not saying it was a dirty thing, but Ernesto grabbed Nate Green, pulled him down to the ground, and tackled him, as his momentum was bringing him down. Lawrence Cole, for some reason, called it a trip or a slip. I'm not exactly sure how that's possible. He got hit and went down and took Nate with him. I'm imagining, I haven't seen the official scorecards. I know what the scorecards came in at. I'd imagine they scored that round for Ernesto because they had to find some rounds to give him. And that's a 3-point swing. You understand? If Nate wins that round and they give him the knockdown, that's a 10-8 round for Nate. And an otherwise pretty quiet round. Ernesto, I'd imagine, got the round on the judges' scorecard because he got every close round. They had to find rounds to give him. So he got that round 10-9 instead of losing it 10-8 like he should have. That's a 3-point swing. We scored the fight 97-93 for Nate Green. It was competitive. There were close rounds. There weren't that many close rounds. We're going to post a link to the fight. It's a local fight here in Dallas, Texas, on the Facebook page, 3D Boxing Blog, and on the Twitter page. So take a look at that. I will also include a link to it. Take a look at the fight. Let me know what you think. Let me know how all 3 judges scored the fight 97-93 for Ernesto Delgadillo. Find me the 7 rounds that he won. Because somehow all 3 judges found 7 rounds for Ernesto. They just don't exist. I mean, I'm not saying he got blown out or you couldn't find rounds to give him. There's no way you can get 7 rounds. And I challenge any of the judges and the Texas State Commission to sit down with me and show me the rounds that he won. Make those judges explain their scorecards and keep them suspended until they can, because there's no justifying that. And Paul Malignaggi talked about this, right? And he said there's probably decisions worse than this in Texas all the time. Talking about his loss to Juan Diaz in their first fight. You just don't hear about him. Well, this was a small card in a 115-pound weight division. If I don't post a link to this, no one's going to see the fight who wasn't there, really, right? So that's a problem. So Ernesto, I'd imagine now, 11-0 with a regional strap, is going to get a fairly big fight. He may have to travel for it, but with these wins, he's put himself in position to get a big fight. Now, Nate, who flew into enemy territory for the two biggest fights of his career, once in Puerto Rico and once here, has to go be someone's opponent again. And he has to go fly into someone else's neighborhood, someone else's neck of the wood, to be used as their opponent again. And now he doesn't even have an undefeated record in the sport because they robbed it from him, right? So he doesn't even have that. Where Ernesto can go on and say, look, I beat an undefeated fighter. And it's not a knock on Ernesto. I think he's a good fighter, but he didn't win this fight. There's no way he won the fight. We're going to post it. Let us know what you think. Leave your thoughts, comments below. This is tough. I got to speak with Green's team. Great people. Trainer Luis Rosa kind of said, I wanted Nate to do a little bit more every round. I knew it was going to be tough to get a decision here. Obviously, I thought we deserved at least a draw. But I wanted Nate to do a little bit more. He knew, and he's been around the sport for decades and decades. It was going to be tough to get a decision in Texas. He said it was going to be tough to come in here and get a decision over a hometown fighter. But that shouldn't be the case. I mean, look, if the rounds are really that close and you give them to the hometown fighter, I can understand it. The rounds weren't that close. There's some room for subjectivity in scoring a fight. You might like the aggressor, you might like the cleaner punching, but it's like a strike zone in baseball, right? We should be able to basically agree on a verdict. There could be some swing rounds, right? Some really close rounds. In Canelo Triple G, there were a bunch of them. But in most fights, most rounds, not that difficult to score. Not that much subjectivity is involved. The guy who lands the cleaner, more aggressive shots, the guy who dictates the pace, wins the round. This is not that difficult. And to see a verdict like this, it's really tough. And now this kid, Nate, great kid, has to go back and be someone's opponent. And these 115 pounds, they don't get a lot of publicity. It's tough. And I love Texas and I love this sport, but when you see something like this, boy, it's not easy to swallow, and your heart really goes out. Here's a kid that had a full 8-week camp, came in tip-top shape, fought a great fight, and deserved to get a win. And he deserves the payday. He deserves the big fight, and now he's not going to get it. And who knows if he'll ever get it. Speaking to his manager, Marilyn Rosa, they want a rematch, and I'm going to see what we can do. Try to see if anything can be done to get a rematch. Putting my 2 cents in to get a rematch. But she said, I don't want it in Texas. It doesn't have to be in our backyard, but let's do it in neutral territory. Now, we both know, everyone knows that's not going to happen. Ernesto's never fought outside of Texas. He's fought almost all of his fights, except for 2 I think he fought in Houston. All of his other fights, he's fought in the DFW area. Because look at the home cooking he gets. Why would he leave? Now, if he's going to fight for a world title, he may have to leave, right? But outside of that, he's not leaving. He's not fighting outside of Texas. He's not fighting outside of Dallas. He's got a big following here. He's a fun fighter. He's a good fighter. And look at the hometown cooking he gets. There was nothing he could do outside of getting knocked out cold that was going to make him lose that fight. The judges that weren't going to allow him to lose. So that's unfortunate. Again, I'm going to post everything on social media. I'll post a link below. Let us know what you think. For Texas Boxing, this is 3D Boxing signing off, saying thank you, good night, God bless.
Enjoy 3D Boxing vlog videos? Show us some love by clicking the like button. Don't miss a tweet, post, story, or video. 3dboxingvlog.com is also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hit the subscribe button now to stay inside the ring.